The Otterwing timber sale, part of the Wing Creek 20-mile area, is located in central Idaho's Big Wild. It is nestled in between the Frank Church River of No Return, the Selway Bitterroot, and the Gospel Hump wilderness areas, and is considered by the environmental community to be important mid to low roadlet habitat. Sold to the Shear Lumber Company, the Otterwing timber sale is predicted to require 4 to 5 miles of new road and provide approximately 150 jobs for up to 7 months. Controversy has arisen over the management of the area for its ecological importance or its economic potential.
Otterwing is just north of the Gospel Hump Wilderness area in the Nez Perce National Forest. It's contiguous with Gospel Hump, and it's a part of the Wing 20-mile roadless area, which is 50,000 acres, but is largely roadless.
It's quite a spectacular area that flows from south to north into the South Fork of the Clearwater River. It has variable elevations, fairly steep, but it has critical old growth, somewhat lower elevation habitat, and that's important because it's the last uncut part of the entire South Fork drainage. Well, it's fairly diverse. You'll have some ponderosa pine and some of the drier sites. Of course, grand fir. There'll be some Engelmann spruce up there, some Doug fir, I guess a few lodgepole pine as well in places, and just mixed conifer.
Forest Service sold the Otterwing timber sale, which covers a relatively small portion of the Otterwing area. There's supposedly about 12.5 million board feet to come off of it. That's a large timber sale by today's standards. The timber in that area varies from decadent white fir to some really nice ponderosa pine. Very little of the ponderosa pine is going to be cut. I would guess that with the Otterwing timber sale, there's going to be about 4 to 5 miles of road built.
What could be the effects of these 4 to 5 miles of road?
In land-based systems, roads do a variety of things. One of the things they do is they impact wildlife, and they impact wildlife by directly causing roadkill. They also impact wildlife by fragmenting habitat. So if you think about a road and an actual functional piece of habitat, if you punch a road through that, there are certain animals that won't be able to cross that road at all, especially small mammals like mice and voles. They don't tend to cross roads. Roads also act as a real barrier to amphibians and reptiles. In addition, you have species that are what's called road averse, and that means they don't like to go near roads, but they will if they need to. And species like elk and grizzly bears, mule deer, white-tailed deer, those species tend to be road averse, either because they don't like them or because when they go near the roads, they end up getting killed. One of the other things that roads do is they provide access. And they provide access for humans, they provide access for pests and pathogens and weeds. So if you think again about a road, especially out here in Montana, along most of our roads in wildland ecosystems, you see knapweed growing all along the roads, or you see leafy spurge growing all along the roads. And those weeds travel along the roads, and then they can get into the rest of the ecosystem. But one of the things that roads do is they cause extreme sedimentation of our waterways. Where does all that sediment go? Well, it goes into your waterway, and then it chokes fish. When you think of a road built into a mountainside, usually there's a cut along the mountain where they've cut into the mountain so that they can build the road, and then there's fill on the other side. Well, whenever they make those cuts, what they end up doing is bringing subsurface water to the surface. So then it changes the way water actually flows through the system. Anytime you build a road in mountains, you're going to end up crossing a lot of water courses. And what engineers do when they build roads is they put culverts or bridges underneath the road so that the water can pass through. Well, culverts 9 times out of 10 will eventually fail. I mean, every culvert will eventually fail, not even 9 times out of 10. And what the Forest Service or any agency that's managing roads and wildlands has to do is continually keep those culverts cleaned, and as they start to rust out, then they need to replace them. Forest Service Chief Mike Dombeck gave a speech last night here in Missoula, and he stated that the Forest Service right now is only maintaining 18% of Forest Service roads to standard. And there's 380,000 miles of road on Forest Service land, so you're talking at about less than 70,000 miles, or about 70,000 miles of road are being maintained to standard, and the rest, those culverts are getting plugged up, and you're going to end up with the kind of failures that we've seen in this region in particular, in the Pacific Northwest in the last couple of years.
What aquatic species could be affected by these possible road failures in the Otterwing timber sale?
Bull trout and steelhead need clean water, and their strongholds are found in the Otterwing Sail area, Johns Creek just to the west, and 10-mile and 20-mile creeks just to the east, areas that are slated for cutting in the Mackey Day and Otterwing timber sales.
So the intermittent streams in the Otterwing area are all regarded as critical habitat for steelhead, even though there's no spawning and rearing waters arising in the Otterwing drainage. I mean, not only are there no spawning fish on the Otterwing timber sale, none of the water that runs off of the Otterwing timber sale runs into spawning streams.
The Otterwing Sail in Wing Creek itself, there is spawning area for a species that will probably soon be listed as threatened, and that's the West Slope cutthroat trout. In fact, it's a very pure strain, a very rare strain, very important one that's found in Wing Creek.
The environmental impact statement for the Otterwing timber sale is over 10 years old. Does it need to be updated?
No, unquestionably, it needs to be updated, not just for the bull trout. We're looking at Chinook salmon. We're looking also at lynx. Lynx aren't even mentioned in the EIS, and now they're proposed for listing as a threatened and endangered species, and probably will be listed soon. And that species isn't even mentioned. We have fisher, another sensitive species we need to look at, wolverine, another sensitive species. The wolf has returned to that area, probably never left central Idaho. There were always a few wolves around. That needs to be considered. It is grizzly habitat, though not occupied at this time, and could be part of that recovery area, that central Idaho Bitterroot, what they call the Bitterroot Recovery Area, which is a misnomer. It includes all of central Idaho and western Montana. So there are other species that need to be looked at. Besides, 10 years old. Most EISs are updated after 5 years. That's a rule of thumb. That's as long as they are. This is twice that age. It definitely needs revision.
By and large, most environmental documents on the Nez Perce account for about 95% of any future restrictions that may be placed on them. If lynx is listed after the initial shock, I doubt if there'll be a major change in what's going on the Nez Perce, and most forests for that matter. I mean, when they did the forest plan, they did a pretty damn good document, and when they do these environmental impact statements, they do the best job they can do, and it's by and large a pretty good job.
Concerns regarding the upholding of national environmental laws have brought activists to Otterwing to ensure its protection.
We did 5 tree sits in the area to bring attention to the fact that they were illegally building this road without any approval from National Marine Fisheries Service, that they were operating on what is now a 10-year-old EIS, even though 4 species have been listed under the ESA since then, and the public has had no opportunity to comment on the changes in the sale or the sale itself. NEPA requires that if there are significant changes, and I would say 4 species listed under the ESA are pretty damn significant changes, that they should be doing a supplemental EIS before they, build another inch of road. Our activism was really documenting the packfish boundary violations. We found that the road that had been constructed already, 1875, did not follow best management practices, that there were numerous blowouts on it. There were numerous failures of best management practices, and we documented all that and sent it to National Marine Fisheries. That resulted in the first ever field visit of National Marine Fisheries personnel into Idaho to look at an actual sale, and resulted in one of the spurs being completely canceled.
The Earthbursters wrote a letter with pictures, and they may have even had a video that they sent to to National Marine Fisheries Service. I think they copied it to Fish and Wildlife Service and the Forest Service, I believe. There was a field trip set up by National Marine Fisheries Service as a purchaser's representative on the timber sale. I was allowed to go along. We examined all of the allegations, or I should say they did. I was sort of a fifth wheel, and discovered some of them to be outright lies, some of them distortions of the fact. There was one stretch of ditch where it was discovered there was a culvert that had not been designed in by the Forest Service. Because of the field trip, the Forest Service went back, redesigned that section of road, and put the culvert in. There was no real argument on anybody's part that that culvert should have been there.
The National Marine Fisheries Service said there were some concerns that, and I'll quote from the letter they sent to us on July 29th, 1998, and what they said was they're preparing a set of recommendations to the Nez Perce National Forest for adjustments to this timber sale based on the field review and other available information, including the materials you provided.
The Forest Service and the National Marine Fisheries Service actually went out to the Otterwing timber sale to see what was going on, and to look at the slides, to look at where they hadn't put enough rocks and mitigation on wet areas, seeps, to prevent slumping. And so through these things, little changes can be made, and the forest isn't cut for another 2 weeks.
By and large, they really don't cost us much time anymore. Over the past 7 or 8 years, we've learned how to deal with them, and it's just another environmental thing you have to consider when you go out to try and make a living.
During the last summer in the Otterwing, various conflicts occurred between activists, locals, and the law. We feel that we are not treated equally in prosecuting of the law. One night, loggers and timber workers allegedly raided an activist camp.
When law enforcement did come in, the county sheriff essentially told us that we were on our own and they would investigate when they found our dead bodies, that we should leave because we were taking money away from people, that they couldn't make car payments, blah, blah, blah. As of this date, even though there were beer cans left all over the area, there was a cigarette pack. The federal officers that first came took some pictures, but they didn't take any of the burned gear to get fingerprints. They threw away the beer cans, and no one has been prosecuted for this. But, right now, as I speak, 3 activists are in jail for trying to uphold the environmental laws of this country, how these workers are just running around free after they trashed our camp and threatened to kill us.
Now, we heard a lot of noise from Missoula and from Moscow about how the law enforcement really wasn't doing anything regarding this, but it was like all things. If you want to file a complaint, then you have to come down and file a complaint, appear in court as a witness.
They've been setting in trees, protesting our road building, and generally making nuisances of themselves on Otterwing since they ran out of something to protest on Cold Mallard. I think they like to go up and live in the mountains in the summertime and have a party, and they have a good time up there.
Logging in the Otterwing area will have a variety of effects on the local community.
A lot of people in the community get upset with the protesting because this isn't something new. I mean, these issues have gone through courts. The courts have said, yeah, the Forest Service can go ahead and do whatever they plan to do with this area. There's been extensive environmental studies. The Forest Service does extensive studies. And these things have gone to court for, who knows, like 10 years, okay, and the court says, okay, you can log it. So to me, it's kind of a moot point.
Well, this mill currently is cutting somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 million feet a year, depending on the species. Otterwing will run the mill 6 months, 7 months. It provides employment to somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 people for 6 to 7 months. It returns to the counties somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000 go into the county coffers for roads and schools. It also brings some portion of the Nez Perce Forest under management. So what we're going to do is sacrifice our roads and schools if we can't get into areas like Otterwing and harvest timber and bring that ground under management.
But there are other economic interests in the Otterwing besides logging.
My quasi-uncle started the hunting business in there in the late 40s. My first experience in the area was in 1960 when I was 16 years old. So I have a long-term personal interest as well as a vested interest in it since I bought my uncle's business out in 1980. As far as the Otterwing timber sale goes and its impact on my business, it's been adverse. I appealed the decision of the forest supervisor about the Otterwing timber sale. I appealed to the regional forester, and part of his response to me was that because the roads were, or the timber harvest activity itself, road construction, and post-harvest treatment phases of the timber sale process would not occur during hunting season, and therefore, the effects of that timber sale on my particular business were considered and mitigated. And that's not the case. I've had some clients that have hunted with me for a long period of time, and part of, I guess, the down feeling, the feeling that the unroaded wilderness experience that I've been able to provide in the past is a thing of the past. What happened several times last year when we ride a horses out from my base camp, tie them up, and here comes a couple of Forest Service guys walking down the road with a spray can, looking at the tops of trees and actually doing nothing but, disrupting our experience. And well, you talk about an endangered species. I kind of feel like I'm an endangered species. The actual folks that are able to experience a backcountry kind of a experience in an unroaded area are getting very limited. You want to buy my business, give me a call.
With the variety of values surrounding the Otterwing timber sale, management decisions proved to be extremely controversial.
The only thing for Otterwing is nonviolent direct action this summer, and bringing attention to the fact that the roadless moratorium that was just passed is ridiculous. It does not protect all roadless areas. The Otterwing area and the surrounding area qualifies in every way for the roadless moratorium. It's contiguous to wilderness. It's greater than 5,000 acres, and although it was not a Rare 2 designation, it was a Rare 1 designation. Those roads in that area should be obliterated, and Otterwing should be made a part of the Gospel Hump wilderness area.
I think what needs to be done to protect the area is the Forest Service has to do the right thing and not be complicit. And that's going to take courage that I think even Chief Dombeck doesn't have.
A major goal of ours is to let people know about Otterwing, what a beautiful wild place it is, and how important it is to protect it.
People need to speak up and to say that they care about their watersheds, they care about drinking clean water.
The real debate about Otterwing is a broader debate about what we do on public lands. Do we manage them for commodity production? Or do we turn them all into wilderness? Do we turn them into national parks? Or do we do something in the middle? And I guess our view of the world is that something in the middle is better.
So what should be the fate of Otterwing? Should we log this lowland habitat for its economic value and eliminate its roadless qualities? Or should we protect it for its ecological values as one of the nation's last untouched areas? Otterwing needs your voice.
Destroying the environment, the ecosystem, destroying a corridor for wildlife travel, whatever.
I'd rather be
People
a
felt
forest
that it was
than a
important
2x4.
But their bodies,
If I could, only could.
That means they don't like to go near roads, don't like to go.
Oh! The meeting ritual.
Chicky fight.
Like,
Oh, he got him.
The champion.
Get the whole arm and everything in there if you can.
Oh.